Shut In is the story of Naomi Watts, a stepmother caring for her stepson who has been paralyzed in a terrible car accident, and a huge winter storm blows in and traps them inside this house. There's also a young boy missing in this storm, which is weighing on her mind as well, and she's encountering strange things in the middle of the night, and she's not exactly sure what's going on, and neither are we as audience members, because this movie's terrible. There were no screenings for this movie that I know of anyway, so I went to the theater and paid for a ticket today, and I was actually kind of excited. I like Naomi Watts quite a bit. In regards to scary films that she's been involved with, The Ring, I think, is really good. And I like a good winter storm movie where the characters are trapped and you feel claustrophobic. I love those aspects of this movie, and aesthetically, it delivers some of that. You feel like you're in this house and the house is encasing in on you because there are some good moments of sound design, but for the most part, I'm blown away by how awful this screenplay is. In fact, it's so bad, it's one of the worst of the year. If every horror movie cliche and trope could manifest themselves as a person, grow hands and fingers, and then start to type, they wrote this. Let's see, where do I even start? A raccoon jumps out and scares the shit out of Naomi Watts, and there's a loud jump scare. Virtually every scare that occurs in this movie is a false scare, something that's supposed to be scary that ends up being just a dream. Or a man that's kind of interested in Naomi Watts and maybe is flirtatious with her a little bit shows up and goes, "Hey, I'm here!" That's what we're dealing with, people. For the large majority of this movie's runtime, it was just bad. The first two acts were just filled with so many dream sequences and so many false scares, and it was getting annoying, yes, but I was at least watching it without rolling my eyes every 2 minutes. The third act of this movie is an absolute disaster. Everything that occurs in the last 20 minutes of this movie makes everything else that happened before it make 0 sense. Oliver Platt is in this film, and he basically exists to be that character that Naomi Watts Skypes from time to time to ask him for advice. Because we all love Skype scenes. A Skype scene can work in a movie. I've seen it work. The Visit, Shyamalan's last movie, had a few good Skype scenes because the dialogue was okay. In this movie, it's basically Naomi Watts going, I'm not sleeping too well. Oliver Platt's like, oh, well, you've been through a lot of trauma. Yeah, I think it's a little more than that, actually. Well, what do you mean? I think there might be some ghosts in my house. Oh, come on, ghosts don't exist, you know that. Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure there might be something going on. Ha ha ha, you're just being silly. It's that times 10. Over and over again, the same scenes with her and Oliver Platt going back and forth on Skype. It's horrible. It's also one of those scary movies where every character makes the dumbest decision they could in the moment. You're constantly looking at people who are splitting up and you're like, why are you leaving that person there? Why would you do that? What are you doing? My God. The direction of the movie is acceptable. There's nothing really much to it. There's one great shot near the end where a silhouette is cast over a staircase. It's an aerial shot. I was like, wow, that's a great shot. It's the kind of shot that would end up on the One Perfect Shot Twitter. This director comes primarily from TV. He directed a few episodes of Daredevil. He's perfectly fine at what he's doing, but the direction of this movie comes off as just acceptable. But what can you really do with a screenplay this contrived and this awful? Speaking of what can you do with a terrible screenplay, poor Naomi Watts is stranded in the storm of this movie. She is trying. This is a movie about a paralyzed boy who is in a car accident. He's stuck in a chair. A storm has encased these characters in this movie. They can't leave. He can't move. That's how I felt during this entire film in this theater. I'm gonna give Shut In an F. I'll tell you what, I've got to talk about this ending and how it doesn't make sense. So if you don't care about that, I'm gonna get into it. Spoiler warning, because I'm sorry, I paid to see this movie. It's out in theaters. Who cares? Don't see this movie. It's not worth your time or your money. So basically, the paralyzed boy isn't actually paralyzed. He's just pretending to be paralyzed. That's right. He wanted his stepmom's affection so bad. And when this young boy, played by Jacob Tremblay from Room, really good movie by the way, goes missing, and Naomi Watts starts to worry about him, he gets jealous. So when Jacob Tremblay shows up at Naomi Watts' house, she tries to take care of him for one night. The paralyzed kid, who's not paralyzed, gets up and takes this kid and traps him in this house. Naomi Watts is hearing weird sounds at night. She's waking up in the middle of strange dreamlike scenarios, and apparently her stepson has just been drugging her medically every day. The script is filled with so many inconsistencies, and for the first two acts I was just like, it's bad, it's not very good. That third act and that reveal made this movie one of the worst horror films of the year. So yeah, don't see it. You guys are the best. Thank you so much as always for watching. If you missed my review of Arrival, I announced I'm going to be going to AFI Fest in LA. I randomly decided to jump on a plane this Sunday and go check it out. I'm going to try to see a lot of movies and get early reviews for you guys. I'm going to do my best to do that. Thank you so much as always for watching. And if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.